All right, and welcome to another episode of the Comics Brew and Chew podcast. Today we are filming our much belated Christmas episode.
It's not belated if Christmas hasn't come yet in 2019. We're early.
Tom, it's your fault again. But
No, it isn't this time.
I can actually save it because Russian Orthodox Christmas was 2 days ago, so we're still in a Christmas season of sorts.
Nice.
Hey. And that just means we're going to have to jam-pack the month of January to get the rest of the books and stuff in that we want to talk about. But today we are talking about a book that kind of sparked the idea for the podcast a little over a year ago, which is Klaus by Grant Morrison and Dan Mora, which is like a modern retelling of the Santa Claus myth, where he came from, who he is, and why he does what he do. And yeah, who wants to talk about it first?
Why don't you continue? You seem to know the story better than any of us.
Because I just flipped through the book because it's the first time I've touched it in a year.
I mean,
Because I gave it to Tom. I was like, Tom, you should read this comic book. You'll really like it. And he's like, okay. Loses it in his room.
And then I read it and I loved it.
Yeah,
I found it though.
I liked it.
Yeah. It is. It's the story of a man named Klaus, because it sounds like Claus. And he is a wild man living in the woods around the town of Grimsvig, which is like the dopest name for a town in any Christmas special ever.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes into town one day and he's like, I'm going to sell my wares. And it turns out everybody in Grimsvig is depressed because the guy that runs it now is an asshole. And he hates Yule time. It's not Christmas, it's Yule time.
Yeah.
And he takes all the presents from kids and gives them to his asshole kid, and his wife is in like this emotionally abusive relationship. So Klaus does his like magic thing where he like smokes a lot and then communicates with the spirits of the forest and makes like all the toys overnight and delivers them. But not by reindeer.
Every time he talks to the spirits, it just turns into 2 pages of Doctor Strange.
And
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
it is. And he doesn't have reindeer. He's got a wolf named Lily, which is essentially like his version of Ghost from Game of Thrones. So it's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like what's that classic? You know, the classic Christmas movie that's stop motion or whatever.
Yeah.
It's that one with like, is it The Year Without a Santa Claus?
The
or
one
is
with
Burgermeister.
Burgermeister.
Yeah, that one.
And Meister Burger. Yeah. It's like a gritty retelling of that without like all the silly whimsical stuff.
Yeah.
It's very dark and gruesome and.
It also has that happy, positive Christmas message in the end.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
What do you mean?
He kills the Krampus with a sword.
Oh, Krampus is
Yeah, I was so excited when my boy Krampus showed up.
Do you mean the part where Klaus is now immortal, so he watches the love of his life age and die before his eyes?
Yeah, that was brutal.
Tom, which Christmas message were you looking for?
The one where you have to slaughter Krampus?
I thought it was cool that it was like the guy is like working everyone to death for this voice in the mind, and sure enough, it turns out to be Krampus.
Yeah.
And like he's only releasable when like people are miserable enough, so that's why he's overworking them. It was a lot cooler than I thought it was.
To be fair, working in retail at the holidays, that's a solid way to do anything.
Yeah, no,
Does Krampus show up to the market every once in a while?
You'd think so.
Yeah, you'd think he'd break out of the fucking floor.
A middle-aged white woman is actually Krampus.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Not in the slightest. What do you mean you don't have on Christmas Eve?
They also bastardize, the meaning of Christmas.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Which one?
Krampus and the old ladies.
Now, usually the old ladies aren't so bad as the middle-aged.
Yeah, depends. But yeah, it's cool. I like the art style, the trippy things where he like trips out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got it.
What else has Dan Mora drawn? Because I really liked.
I don't know
what I
because
saw in
I've
here.
only really seen this, but I do have to give. Where is it? Actually, I think he does all of it because there is no colorist credited.
So he's
Dan Mora
everything.
does.
Okay.
Outside of lettering. But yeah, it's also a really nice format with a gold leaf tin.
Yeah,
because
He's done Power Rangers.
oh, and I think that started up after Klaus started.
Yeah.
Because they started releasing those comics around the time the movie came out and was going to be big, and then flopped. But the comics are still great, I've heard.
My mom saw me walking around with this book, and she's like, "What is that?" And I was like, "It's a comic." And she's like, "Klaus?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Is that about Santa Claus?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "That's weird. You don't really like Christmas." I'm like, "You're right. I don't. But this is actually pretty cool."
Santa with a sword.
This is like the Game of Thrones thing of Christmas.
Plus, Santa's so badass. Like this page right here.
He's yoked.
He's got like the sack over his shoulder. I don't think it's filled with toys. He's wearing this like red tunic with boots and a shoulder pauldron.
That's the guard uniform for
yeah,
Grimsvig.
right? Because he used to be
Yeah,
the
he used to-
captain.
He was So he was like not abandoned on the ice, but his mom died while like walking through the frozen wasteland, and like the townspeople find him, so they bring him in, and he grows up like alongside the king's daughter. Yes, that would make her a princess, but like at the time she's just the king's daughter.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they have like this thing, and like the antagonist of the story like gets Klaus kicked out of town because like he just can't talk to girls and isn't personable enough. So he's like, I gotta get rid of my competition, and like frames him for murdering the king.
Yeah.
To like get out of the friend zone. It's ridiculous.
And then, stumbles upon Krampus
Yeah.
and does his thing.
Well, Krampus is like, I'll give you power and everything you desire. And
Because like he's not like a king, the guy in charge. He's like a lord of Grimsvig, and then like the surrounding areas, because they establish that there's like a greater king in the area, because like his guys show up and they're like, hey, we hear you're an asshole, and we're here to check
And
it
even
out.
the greater king is like, stop talking to Krampus.
Yeah.
Just stop it.
Well, they don't know about the Krampus thing. They're
Yeah.
just like, we hear you're an asshole.
Krampus is really well designed too. He's really creepy.
The sun looks like Loki.
The sun does look like a Loki.
See, I got a very Joffrey vibe from him from the start, and then you're like, oh wait, he's kind of just a product of his upbringing and not a complete piece of shit like Joff.
Yeah, it's nature versus nurture. Like, he wants to be a kid, but his dad's beat it into him that, like, you can't be a kid. And it's funny because his dad thinks he's, like, the only kid that won't be taken by the Krampus.
Yeah.
When he's, like, the only
He's
kid that
the one
gets
that's
taken.
most,
Yeah.
I also love after Krampus gets free, the dude who set him free, like, he's like, you're in the book. It said you'd, grant all my wishes and, be my servant. It said so in the book. And then he looks in the book and the picture of the Krampus is gone. And he's like, it was right here. It's like, really, I don't know, I just really liked it.
Darth Vader altering the deal.
Well, more like the Faust deal.
Yeah, I really like this book.
Yeah, this was one of my favorites that we've read so far.
I had it for a
honestly.
while and I didn't read it because I was like, I don't think I'm gonna dig this one because I've never really been into Christmas, and I like the book a lot. The book's really cool.
Has the follow? I know they did a few one shots and
Yeah.
stuff that followed. Has that stuff been any good or?
I read the one last year, which was like the Witch of Winter, and that one was pretty good. It's weird because it's like it doesn't go as in depth as like Klaus goes with like world building and stuff, because it comes more modern time. But it's just Klaus being a badass. I didn't get to read this year's yet. It's actually sitting on the table at my house.
So what are they doing? Just like one every winter?
Yeah, it
sort
seems
of thing?
like.
Okay.
But they're doing like more takes on like other, not like Christmas myths, but like Christmas classics. Like this one's like a snowman, so I think it's like a frosty take.
Okay.
And then like the one last year was like kind of like the cold miser type thing.
Gotcha.
But there's no heat miser, which is good because like
They'll do that.
Fuck summer.
I mean, did we just gloss over the story?
What?
Basically, like we talked about the story.
A little bit. Like I just kind of bullet points.
Yeah, I mean, he kills Krampus.
Yeah.
After becoming immortal from the spirits of the forests, and
Which is like such a cool concept because like Morrison is definitely like, I've read other Morrison works, and he is like, he's ridiculous. Like I read his novel on superheroes, and like he goes hardcore with this stuff. Like he's also from like Glasgow, which is ridiculous. So he's got like the coolest accent, but he's like, oh yeah, like there's a whole mythology to comics and stuff like that, and like he's very into myth and lore and all that stuff and going in depth and continuity. So like for him to be able to use Yuletime as like the backbone for Christmas,
Yeah.
because that's kind of how it is to begin with.
And it's cool to see, like you said, about how comics have basically grown into this modern mythology, applying a more classic mythology to the structure that we've come to know from comics. Every time I read something like that, it's always, when done well, a very solid fit, and this was absolutely the case.
Yeah. Not to mention the fact that he has a sleigh pulled by like wolves, and he like rides through the night sky with a sword.
yeah.
And then they all turn into demon wolves, and the Krampus takes the sleigh.
I also love the idea. The sleigh was like at the end, it's like almost futuristic looking.
Yeah.
It's very like cool.
But
I loved how. The hell was I going with this? I forgot. Vamp a little bit. I'll remember what I was talking about.
the person I thought would have the most to say has actually said the least so far.
Yeah.
Oh, I love how he when he makes toys, it's just like a drug fueled like truck
yeah.
in the middle
Yeah.
of the woods.
It's full Doctor Strange.
Like, he gets high as shit, and then just is like he wakes up and he made a bunch of toys. And he's
Yeah.
like, did I do that? As you would expect someone who's
Going back to like
Tripping.
the Yuletime roots and like the pagan Celtic-esque spirits of the forest, because this definitely takes place in like northern Europe. So that puts it in
Yeah.
like the weird Norse Celtic region.
Yeah, it's kind of like I see influences of both like Norse and like Celtic. Because
Well-
like the whole wolf and
Yeah.
the winter stuff is very Norse, and then like
And
the
Yule.
spirit of the forests are almost like will o' the wisps, which are Irish, right?
It depends.
Scottish?
It depends on where you come from,
Yeah.
because
Ish, yeah.
every culture kind of has one of those.
Yeah, yeah. But they reminded me more of like will o' the wisps.
I did
than
get a lot
anything
of
else.
that kind of Norse
Yeah.
myth influence,
They're de-
though. The
the-
Loki Odin type figure, Thor Odin type figure.
The spiritual, like the little spirits of the forest, are definitely very like fey folkish.
Mm-hmm. I actually don't have much to say. This is what happens when,
You read the book like a month out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I read it while I had family around, so like I couldn't pay too much attention,
Yeah.
and they'd be like, "Oh, what are you reading?" I'd explain it to them, and like, "That's neat." I'd
That's
be like,
weird.
"Yeah."
That's weird. You're weird. Stop reading weird things.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. Plus, the families around is religious, and you know.
Yeah. Hey, you want to watch me spit in the face of like established?
Oh, look, he's stabbing people on Christmas. Look at Santa Claus, even though he's pagan.
It's a candy cane.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it started to lose me near the end. I felt like it built up more interesting than it ended.
Yeah, like definitely with the Krampus and stuff. Like the
Yeah.
Krampus is a cool reveal, but then like he literally just stabs him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, he's
There
done.
should have been more acid trip pages of him taking Krampus down.
I completely expected him to die.
Who?
Yeah, I did
Klaus.
too.
Yeah.
Well, he does, and then the
But
spirits
I
bring him
mean-
back. You know,
Full
it's,
on die.
it's he dies, is resurrected, and then saves everybody.
It cuts
I'm
the head off
assuming that
Krampus.
that's the whole religious...
Klaus is just Jesus.
Yeah,
He-
see, I don't
he's-
know anything
he's
about
so-
any of this.
He's just sword wielding Jesus Santa. He's like every great part of like Catholicism put together. It's the birth of Christ.
just much better.
Hell yeah. Oh, if Jesus got down off the cross and like bitch slapped Pontius Pilate and was like, no, I would go to church more often.
Who's to say he didn't?
That'd
Were
be-
you there, Fred?
That'd be dope. Still got that nail in his hand when he punches him. That's it. And before Grant Morrison can do it, I'm rewriting the Bible as a comic book,
Where's
and it's
the-
gonna get great.
Where's the Krampus passage in the Bible?
Oh, who the fuck knows? It's in one of the testaments they don't want to put in the book.
There's a really cliche moment at the end of the book that I just noticed. They're all at the funeral for his like the love of his life.
Yeah.
And he's like standing under a tree in the distance, and it's just a shadow. And you know it's him because there's a wolf next to him. But everyone else is just like, I wonder who that is under the tree. But yeah, it's kind of.
He also looks younger at the end, but he's also like cleaned up.
Yeah.
I mean-
He just should have been full like white beard, red suit Santa.
I would love to see it adapted to like TV or film somehow, animated or like.
I'd like to
I
see
think
it animated.
would
Animated
be
would be really nice.
very cool
It'd be
for this.
it'd be hard to do Mora's style. I didn't want to call him Mora by mistake.
Yeah.
Mora's style only because it is so specific.
Yep.
But I could see like just from the promos, like the Castlevania team on Netflix,
Absolutely.
if they got a hold of it.
I was actually watching
yeah.
this, watching that while reading this, and I got like very similar vibes.
Yeah.
So is that? See, I love the look of the
Yeah.
like the ghosts, the spirits, whatever they are.
Honestly, if you haven't
Okay.
played the games, the Castlevania series is actually really interesting.
One
Whether
of-
you played, I haven't played the games, and it was enthralling. It's so
Okay,
cool.
I
The
need to give that a
Dracula,
go.
the Dracula mythos is really cool. In that.
And isn't the producer of that what's his face, the guy that produced Dread and whatnot, all of those
I
bootleg
think so.
Marvel shorts?
Yeah, I think so.
Not gonna lie, one of the best pages is after he makes all the toys, and he's
Yeah.
like, "What am I supposed to do?" Because like Lily is expressive. She's like, "What did you do?"
She's like, I just watched you for the last 8 hours on a drug-fueled frenzy build a bunch of toys.
And also, they're alive. Like the birds sing.
The toys are very modern looking though. They're not like they don't look like.
Oh yeah, there's
they're
a
made
full
out of
on.
wood.
The kid gets a full on mecha toy.
Yeah.
It's
The
weird.
flying birds. And
I love the story of the bird, though.
The bird was cool.
And the fact that like he finds like the Christmas tree in the middle of like the castle, and he's like, "I remember when you were like alive and vibrant, like this town was."
Yep. I got Lord of the Rings vibe from that.
Yeah.
Like my friend
Return
who's the
of the King.
who's the captain of the guards, who's like drinking himself into a stupor because he hates his job.
And also Lord of the Rings vibes with the whole asshole king dude that a lot of it, like, he was a dick, but there was elements of it where it was kind of Krampus whispering in his ear and controlling him to some
Yeah.
degree.
Yeah.
The cool thing is, like, he has the toys, he does all the magic, and they, like, come to life. He brings them to the kids of the town, who are all depressed because they don't get toys. And, like, when the kids have them, they're all magic, and they're playing, they're, like, moving all by themselves. And when the guards round them up and give them to the asshole kid, they don't work anymore.
Yeah.
And he starts breaking them, and he's like, where's the magic? And it's just like,
I wonder.
The best part is the kid has like the greatest replica of the whole town I have ever seen.
Oh, he's got, like, a full-scale model.
They
He's, like,
spent, what,
stomping around.
however many years working
like a whole
on
year.
making
It was like the craftsman
and
in the town.
Yeah.
He just
He lights it on fire.
goes, yeah, full Godzilla on the thing.
Because he's like, it sucks. My favorite part's when he's like, not like my favorite part, but I love how they're like kicking him out of the town at the beginning of the book. They're like, hey, you don't live here. They're kicking him out, and like Lily shows up, and he's just like, all right, we scared the crap out of him. We're good.
One of my favorite things he does in this book is he's, like, sneaking into the town, Klaus is, and he sees, like, a guard.
Yeah.
And he, like, makes a little snowball, and he throws it at one of those old style, like, European roofs that are, like, slanted, and it lands on the top, and it rolls down. By the time it gets to the bottom of, like, the edge of the roof, it's, like, a massive, huge snowball.
Yeah.
It's just, like, that was such a cool, I loved that. That was just, like, very inventive to me. I'm sure it's been done before, but I thought it was really clever. And then when it lands on the guard, Klaus turns it into a snowman.
Well,
puts
no, he
sticks
does.
in
He
the
does.
carrot.
He does two different ones.
Right.
He does the one where he throws a snowball and it like it takes out a couple of guards.
Yeah.
But then he fights this big guy named Olav, and he's like, "Ho ho ho! I'm Olav. I talk in third person."
Yeah.
And when Klaus beats him, the snow falls at him from the roof above
Yeah.
him, like very cartoonish. And then when everybody shows up, like the fuck's his face, big bad guy man, because I don't remember his name. He shows up and he's like, "Who's this Olav guy?" And they're like, "That's Olav." And he's upside down, and the snow is covering him, and his legs are sticking out like snowman arms.
Yeah.
And he makes a snowman out of the rest of them.
See, I forgot about all of that.
It's very just like
What was the bad guy's name? The son's name is Jonas.
right
Yeah.
or Jonas, whatever it is.
However you, yeah.
The wife has like the worst name,
Yeah, it's
Dagmar.
Dagmar, yeah.
I was like, how much did your dad hate
Magnus.
you?
The girl's name
Magnus.
is Magnus. Her name is Dagmar.
Yeah.
Kid's name is Jonas.
Klaus.
This is either a book about Santa or the Third Reich. I'm not quite sure yet.
Wait, here's the page with all the toys. Yeah, some of the toys are like... There's like a robot. There's a dude on a horse. Bear with symbols.
Any of them look like the cool ghost alien things?
No,
Ah.
unfortunately. I know there's one shot where there's a very modern-looking toy, and I'm like, that's kind of out of time period for this, but whatever.
And then at one point, like, in the middle of all this, like, happiness and Christmas cheer, he's just out in the woods, like, right after he gets released from the town, and he just straight out murders, like, a deer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He kills it. He's eating it.
Which is kind of like Grant Morrison being like, hey, you guys wanted reindeer? There it is.
He's eating
It's
it.
dead. But,
Oh, the wolf was really cool.
yeah, Lily,
I did like the wolf.
best character. Hands down.
I didn't expect to like this as much as I did.
No, I didn't either.
I knew I was going to like it because I didn't read it first. I heard about it on another YouTube channel. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. So I bought it.
Was liking it, and then we got to the first acid trip page, and then I fell in love with it right there.
Yeah.
Of course
That's
I
all
did.
it really takes for me in a comic, though. A big acid trip splash page.
Either that or me getting Amanda to yell at you.
That too.
Also helps.
Oh, there's one scene when Klaus is trying to get out of the town after being discovered. They send a bunch of dogs after him.
Yeah.
And, like, he's cornered by the dogs, and then his wolf shows up, and the dogs all, like, turn and run.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, why are the dogs running? Why are they scared? And it's like, well, it's because they just saw a giant white wolf.
And, like, the Game of Thrones thing, I was talking to John before we started recording, because I was flipping through it. I'm like, Lily follows Game of Thrones rules with Ghost. Like,
Yeah.
Lily just shows up places, like, unexplained. She gets through the wall to get in the city. Like, I think they lowered the gates and stuff so he couldn't escape. Like, they made sure it was impenetrable. And Lily's just like, I got in. And then, like, one of the guards offhand is just like, you know what? We got to start plugging up these holes because I think another wolf got into the city. And I'm like, that is a problem this city has. There's not like a rat infestation. There's just like
They just get wolves.
Just like you're walking down the street and one just walks out of an alleyway and you're just like, oh, another one. Like, the dog catcher has to be the worst job in this town.
The dog catcher.
There is no dog catcher.
He's like, my title does not represent what I do.
He's not very good.
You apply
at
for
his
that job, like, oh, I'll take the job. I can catch some dogs. And like, all right, well, there's one, and it's like a big ass white wolf, and you're like,
You gotta do better than the last guy.
One hand over there.
but yeah, Klaus, solid. I really enjoyed it.
I did too.
Maybe it'll be something I read every Christmas. I'll have to get my own copy.
I mean, you could. It's on Amazon.
Yeah.
That's where I got mine. I got mine after Christmas last year.
Yikes.
Jeez.
I don't believe it's on Amazon.
What?
I don't believe it's on Amazon.
Oh, you want to fucking bet?
It's not. It's not on Amazon.
Jeff
Amazon
Bezos
doesn't
fucked me on
exist.
Christmas, so.
You sure it's on Amazon? Because I almost had
I was saying, I was joking. Everything's on Amazon.
because I almost had to buy my own copy because I couldn't figure out where mine was. It is $23.79 on Amazon for hardcover. Oh, they have paperback now. It was only on hardcover when I was buying mine.
Oh, yeah.
Do they, in re-releases now, put the one-shots in there, or is that just stuff
I have
sold
no
separate?
idea. Tom, why would I buy the re-releases when I already have a copy?
Because you want the one-shots in there.
But I buy the one shots independently at my local comic book shop.
What's that?
I don't know, Tom. Paperback is $19.99, and there's a format that just says comics at $5.95, which.
It's probably the single issues.
Oh no, you know what it is?
Oh, is it a digital platform?
No, that would be the Comixology digital one. No, it's the
It's
the
the
fucking
Comixology Amazon.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's the first one shot.
Okay.
Crisis in Christmasville. There's like an evil Klaus, and like he takes over all like the wannabe Santa Clauses and stuff.
So the
So
Salvation
it's the
Army.
thing.
Yes. You know they're evil, right?
Salvation Army?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's why I never give them money. No one who rings a bell that like, that's the one I want. I don't know. I hate them. I fucking hate, like,
That's weird. So the front cover for Klaus, the paperback, is the one of him carrying the deer over his shoulder.
Yep.
That page we keep flipping by.
Mhm.
But it's got like a subtitle. It's Grant Morrison, Dan Mora, Klaus, How Santa Claus Began.
Okay.
So they probably refer to this as, like,
That's
this story's
what-
probably
yeah.
how Santa began, and then there's...
The one-shots,
The
just to
one-shots, yeah.
separate
Which
from those.
is, I'm fine with that subtitle, but it almost feels like it takes away from like the experience of like, oh shit, this is just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
how like Santa Claus comes to town.
Yeah.
But super awesome.
He never makes any lists.
No, but the kids do send notes up the chimneys.
That's true.
Does he check them twice, though?
Actually, the funny part is when the guy comes into his house, he's like, "How'd you get in here?" He's like, "I came down the chimney."
Yeah, I like that bit a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, that's kind
And,
of...
I like that
But-
bit when they barricaded the doors and he...
But you have to really sit there and be like, "Fucking did he?"
I think he had to have. He had to have.
No, he had to have. But like, it's also Klaus. He can get wherever apparently because he gets into the castle 6 times by himself. So
He climbs in right through the Dagmar's window at one point.
Yeah, and he's like, "How you doing? You remember me?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, "But I made you that toy bird." And she's like, "I remember exactly who you are."
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't tell the fact you look exactly the same outside of the fact you grew a beard. It's like reverse Batman syndrome. Like, you should be able to tell who Batman is by this bone structure of his lower face.
Oh, Batman. I will save all of that for the next podcast.
For the next podcast.
Unless you want to rant about Batman when we talk about Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, next. Sorry.
You know what pisses me off about Spider-Verse? Batman. But, so as we have been doing by ranking the different books that we've read, you know, all 12 books that we got through in the last year like we promised we would.
Yeah. Hey, we're off to a good start. We have a podcast for
I
January.
don't even remember what books we read.
I do remember. What
I remember we did Gotham by Gaslight.
Yes.
I Kill Giants.
Yes.
I Killed Giants.
I loved.
Punk Rock Jesus.
Punk Rock Jesus.
Marvels.
Marvels. I forgot about Marvels. I don't like Marvels.
Shit, what was that other one?
The other Batman book.
We did another Batman one?
Long Halloween.
Long Halloween, that's right.
Oh, yeah, right.
I was gonna say, please tell me somebody had to pull up our own playlist.
No, actually. And hey, pretty soon we're gonna have it all on Instagram too, starting with this book.
You've been saying that the last 17
Starting
podcasts.
with this book.
Tom, since we
She's got a
started,
knife. Oh, God.
since we started, Tom, you said you're gonna read the books. So
Hey.
far, your track record's not that great.
I've missed 2 books.
That's
Out
more
of
than
five.
Marvels and one of the Batmans.
It's more than anybody on this couch.
You didn't miss Marvels. Believe me.
We're doing Miss Marvel.
No, Miss Marvels.
I've actually never read Miss Marvel, but so yeah, where would you guys place it at from what you remember for the other books?
Pretty high up.
Yeah, my top 3 are, I think, the This, in no particular order, this, Punk Rock Jesus, and I Kill Giants.
So say the boy's read like 4 books, and he's gonna take his
I
top
think
3.
this is my favorite. So I think this is at the top of mine. Just because I know I really liked it.
I mean, I
think Punk Rock Jesus still comes before it.
Fred's happy.
I'm always happy when it comes to Punk Rock Jesus. I own like 6 copies of that book. It's fucking awful. I mean, it's great.
It's good.
No, it's awful that I own that many.
Ah.
I have it in singles for the most part. I have it in paperback. I have it in Ultimate. I had another paperback that I ended up giving away because I needed another paperback.
So, what's the next book on the list?
So next book on the list, speaking of Punk Rock Jesus, is we might do a double. Batman, Court of Owls by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, which is, I'm going to state now, but I'll have to reiterate when we come to the podcast, one of the books that got me into collecting comics in the first place was Snyder's run on Batman, starting with issue 2 of Court of Owls, because
what?
I missed issue 1.
Is this issue 2? This is volume 1.
It's volume 1. No, I had the single issues.
Oh, right.
It was issue 2, the single, that got me into it.
Gotcha.
And we're also going to do a more recent book, the Elseworld story, Batman White Knight by Sean Gordon Murphy, with art by Sean Gordon Murphy, with the coloring by Matt Hollingsworth.
Oh, I was going to say Sean Gordon Murphy.
So
That
you
was my
Finished
guess.
both.
fucking Punk Rock Jesus was black and white. You get the best colorist in the industry with Matt Hollingsworth working on a book with Sean Murphy, and you just knock it out of the park.
I'm
Okay.
excited.
You should be. But yeah, so I think that's going to wrap it up for this alcohol-free episode of Comics Brew and Choose, because it is.
New year, new us.
Yep,
It's
no alcohol.
It's also like way too early to start drinking.
Is it noon yet?
It's just afternoon now,
Okay.
and John and I just had a bunch of food, so we're good on everything right now.
Yeah, I'm like a minute away from a food coma.
Oh,
Rest in peace, John.
Oh.
I plan on it
So is that?
at some point today. Yeah, that's that.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening.
Check out whatever social media Amanda has schemed up. I don't know. This is her podcast. Who knows
In
what's
like
going
6 months.
on? I'll say whatever I want on Amanda's podcast.
All right.